You just add such atmosphere to the place. Good evening. This morning, I hadn't written any, I was doing the Cowboy Poetry thing. And so I hadn't read a lot of poetry other than that, and I hadn't written any. But I just felt, especially after a month gone by, I should have a new poem. So this morning, after studying Chinese, I decided to write this poem. It's called Reflections on Elections. In a time of conflicting universes, when coyote rules and chaos flourishes, we tend to forget that only love nourishes. And so we are at the mercy of the dollar bill, the lie, and the grim reaper's sickle. And thus our country is in quite a pickle. Divide and conquer is always the trickster's plan, spreading his venom to pit man against man, and man against woman, and woman against man. So many worms in this festering can. In a world where everyone is wrong, but convinced that they are right, how does it behoove one to enter the fight? Certainly, it is not time to rejoice when half the world hates you and you hate them too. Seems like a much better choice to pause and ponder and think things through, trying to understand another point of view. Not to despair or succumb to gloom, for coyote is a creator and chaos is a womb. Those who prophesied the end were certainly right, for day cannot emerge without passing through night. New wine needs new skins. The old cycle ends and a new one begins. At the edge of chaos, creativity thrives to give birth to new insight that betters our lives. So, please take time to breathe and feel the love, to quiet thought and emotion, and seek wisdom from above. So, and then to fill out my little portion of my little part, then that brought to mind a poem that I wrote back in the 70s that goes, in this world of heart and mind, who knows what treasures we may find when we trail through the crust of fear and distrust into the reservoir of love within. We must beware, of course, lest unleashing this mighty force uncontrolled and misdirected, having been so long neglected, we cause destruction, disappointment, or despair. But if the principles of love you know, and which direction the heart should grow, then we can cap this wondrous flow and tap the infinite power of the universe and live in joy all together forever. Now changing, here's a little bit. I did do that Cowboy Poetry show, Nadia, and it went well. But at the end of it, a guy came up and said, there's a certain poem, and he asked me if I knew it. And I didn't, and so he recited it for me. And I thought, well, it's an amusing poem. I think I'll go ahead and give that one a try. But before I do, I want to say that I haven't let people know, but I do have a really cool poetry CD that has 21 of my spoken word pieces. And I did bring your dad's book today. So I do have a remnant of the Cowboy Poetry. I learned this poem after this guy recited it. It's not one that I had known previously, but one that he said is very popular on the cowboy circuit nowadays. It goes like this. I'm not too much for shopping or for going into town. Except for cattle shipping time, I'm not too easily found. But there comes a time when you gotta go, so I left the kids with Ma. But then, just as I was walking out the door, she said, hey, could you buy me a bra? Well, without thinking, I said, sure, how hard can that job be? So I gave her a peck on the back of the neck and said, I'll be home by 3. Well, I finished everything I had to do, but I was starting to regret ever promising to buy that thing. Got me worked up in a sweat. So I went into the store with my hat pulled over my eyes because I didn't want to take a chance on being recognized. Went over to the sales clerk, and then when I got there, I didn't hem or haw. I just stuck out my chest and said, I'm here to buy a bra. Well, I heard something behind me, so I turned around to see. And I saw every woman in that store was gawking right at me. Well, what kind did you have in mind, sir? I just scratched my head. I'd only seen one kind before. I thought bras was bras, I said. Oh, she gave me a disgusted look. Said, well, there you would be wrong. Follow me, I heard her say, and like a dog, I tagged along. She took me down an aisleway where the bras was on display, and I thought my jaw would hit the floor when I saw that lingerie. They had all kinds of styles I'd never seen before. Thought I'd go plumb crazy before I got out of that store. They had bras that you could wear for 18 hours. They had bras that cross your heart. They had, excuse me, they had bras that would lift and squeeze. And that was just a start. They had bras that you could wear that would make you feel like you'd never worn a bra at all. And they had bras that you could train in to get started when you're small. So I finally decided on this nice black lacy one. I gave the woman the money and I figured I was done. But then she asked me for the size. Well, I didn't hesitate. I knew that measurement by heart. A 6 7/8. 6 7/8, she said, that surely can't be right. Oh no, ma'am, I'm positive. I just measured them last night. Well, it kind of came as a shock, and I guess for her it was a surprise that my wife's bust was same as my hat size. Well, now a crowd was gathering, and they started cracking up when she asked me for my hat so she could measure for the cup. Well, she finally got it figured out, and I gave that gal her pay, headed for the door, tipped my hat, and said, good day. Well, my wife had heard the story before I ever even got home, because she'd been talking with 15 women who'd called her on the phone. And she still was laughing. But by then, I didn't care. Now, she don't ask, and I don't shop for women's underwear.